Welcome back to our YouTube channel!
Today we will be talking about data transactions and free apps.
Or how free apps gather and sell your data.
I'm assuming it's a sum of the information.
Don't know what that is.
In like different apps.
When companies sell your data.
I think they're free because
Ads. I guess like in-app charges.
they're through ads or through screen time or in-app purchases.
And selling your data.
Apps are involved in the data economy, in which data is gathered from users online and within device applications and sold by the companies that own those apps to data brokers, who then sell to advertising companies that send ads back to the user in a cyclical pattern. Apple lists two different types of data that are collected from users: data that is linked to you and data that is used to track you. By linked to you, it simply means data that is linked to your identity, such as your age, phone number, location, etc. Data used to track you is in reference not to your physical location, but to your digital location, such as what other apps or web browsers you visit, which is especially helpful to advertising companies. The data that is used through apps, both linked to you and used to track you, is used to create a digital profile that is sold and swapped between many data brokers and advertising companies, but most user data eventually filters upwards to a few select companies, mainly Facebook and Google's parent company, Alphabet. Advertisements are the main source of data collection and profit in free apps. Even apps that you don't consider to be involved with advertisements, such as Maps or Gmail, make the majority of their profit from advertisements.
Alright, now that we understand how data is collected, it is important to know why data is collected. Let's take a look at a corporation that makes an app. Let's also take a look at a user. If the corporation takes your data, they can make the experience better for you or the user. Doing this will motivate the user to spend more time on the app and will also attract other users benefiting the company. So let's take a look at a real life example, like YouTube. Every time you log onto YouTube, you'll get a plethora of different videos that it recommends. And you will most likely choose on a video. So let's say instead of sports, fashion, or nature, you like food. Over time, if you keep watching videos about food, YouTube will keep on recommending videos about food. This is better for you, as you don't have to search for food every single time you join the app, and you are given a number of videos that you will immediately enjoy.
So what? Why does all this matter? Data collection is one of the main reasons free apps are free. Without the revenue earned from collecting user data and selling it, many companies would have to start charging fees for their services or make money some other way, such as increasing the number of ads or adding in-app purchases. Because of how important data collection is for profits, companies are incentivized to collect as much data as possible, while not giving users the ability to keep their data private. This makes the companies with the resources for this massive collection, selling, and storing of data much richer than the other companies. For example, Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, two of the biggest social media platforms in the world, almost completely controls the free app environment and social media, along with a handful of equally large competitors. This makes it almost impossible for smaller companies to create their own apps, and inhibits competition between the big companies. Even free games collect plenty of data that they sell to third parties. Most of the time, free games make revenue from advertising or in-app purchases like a currency system. How would an app make their advertising more applicable to individual users, thereby making them click them more often? They sell the data to advertisers, of course, or they could buy the data from other companies. Seemingly harmless things such as email addresses could be sold to third parties by the free game companies, resulting in spam mail and possibly a stolen email address. Some apps require phone numbers as well. What is stopping a company from secretly selling that data to third parties? Your age and where you live are also common information that can be given to third parties. In the worst cases, things like social security numbers, credit card numbers, and home addresses could be sold and stolen for people to commit identity theft, and drastically impact the user's life. However, this is rare and mostly happens as a result of data breaches or leaks of apps such as mobile banking apps that use this information in the first place. But it's not as rare as you think. All this lucrative data collection is nearly non-regulated though, because all users have technically agreed to it in order to use the software. This is because it is listed in the privacy policy in terms of use of all apps, but they intentionally make it long and difficult to read, discouraging users from reading before accepting. There is no way to use the app without accepting these terms, making most data collection impossible to opt out of. Not everything around data collection is negative, however, because as stated before, it allows apps to stay free. But this does not excuse the nearly unimpeded collection of millions, if not billions of app users, most of them being unaware that this exchange is taking place. Another problem with the way free apps collect data is that most of the time the user has no control over how much and what data apps collect. If they do, it is often hidden somewhere deep in the app settings, and that make it intentionally confusing to make the user's actions more private. The standards that free apps are held to needs to be higher.
Protecting your data privacy starts with awareness. Educate yourself so that you aren't being taken advantage of. Know what resources are available to you. Apple provides data and privacy tools at privacy.apple.com. You can learn about the personal information that Apple has collected from you. You can also correct your data or get a copy of the data that you store with Apple. Contact legislators about your concerns and convince them to act. The California Consumer Privacy Act, or the CCPA, is a good resource to base your argument on. The CCPA is legislation that gives California residents more control over their data. Legislation will likely make the most impactful change because there's currently no federal legislation that protects your data privacy. You can also reach out to companies to ask them how they are protecting your privacy. Consumer pressure can work according to Marketplace Tech article, The Data Economy, How We Gave Up on Data Privacy. This article is linked in the description. Consumer pressure with brands such as Nike have worked in the past in order to get companies to make a change. Opt out of data collection when you can. Ask apps not to track data. Block or reject cookies whenever possible, and don't give out personal information like your name or email address if it can be avoided. Use online services that don't track you. For example, search engines like DuckDuckGo, StartPage, or Ecosia don't track user data or track search history. And finally, educate others like your friends, family, or other people who don't know about the information transaction. Take action so that those who can't act or who are vulnerable online are still protected.